Hey guys, let's transform our photos into impressionistic, beautiful art pieces with literally the click of a button. This is so easy. I'm going to show you where to get this action and how to use it. And I'll even walk you through some of the hiccups that you might run into and some workarounds in order to get the final results that you want. So let's go. This is fun. Okay, so you're going to go to designcuts.com and you're going to find this seller right here, Design Rocket. I'll try to put a link in the description for you. Download the action. It's only $8. For me, it was totally worth it. I love this action. If you have any issues, you're confused, something's not working, please contact the little button here that says professional support. Not me. It's not my action. I didn't make it. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. I just really liked it and wanted to share it with you guys. Okay, I have loaded the action and the brushes into Photoshop. Just follow the directions. This is really, really easy to use. So I'm going to come over here to my actions panel. If you don't see it, well, you should by now after following the directions, but just in case it disappears, go to Window, Actions, and that will turn on your actions panel. So there it is. And I was in here playing with it earlier. Okay, so once it's installed, you should have your impression by Design Rocket, and there's an About section that you can watch, but this is pretty simple. I'm going to click on Impression Realistic and then press play. And then I'm going to wait a little bit. Depending on your system, you could be waiting for a little while, you could be waiting for a long while, I don't know, but just be patient. That's all you have to do is just press play. Okay, you will reach a point where it says impression is working and then we are done. So you may get this little symbol right here. That is because the last part of this action is using an art history brush. The way art history brushes work is the brush actually has to be assigned to the layer that you're working on. So I'm just going to type Z for the new zoom tool and start scrolling around here. Check this out. Look at those painterly strokes, that canvas texture. This looks fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. One of the best actions I've seen so far, and I've used a bunch. So I really do enjoy that one. By the way, if this is the type of stuff that you guys would like to see more of, go ahead and leave a comment underneath the video and let me know that it interests you, and I will try and find more fun, cool stuff like this to share with you guys, because I just really enjoy this. So within the action itself, you have everything separated out into these little sections here. So you've got some basic adjustments. So there are color balance, and you can turn these on or off, hue and saturation. You can make changes. There's a levels adjustment. So you can come in here, double click on that, and make any changes that you want. So sometimes when you do painterly renditions, it may dull the image a little bit. So he or she has already given you some options to come in here and make some of those adjustments, but you can always add them later on yourself if you want, but they're part of the action, so why not just use them? So down in here in the effects. So if I turn these on and off, this is where you start to see some real differences. So the light strokes and then the overall effect, which is actually a smart filter. So turn that on and off and you can see all of the canvas texture and everything that has been added after the fact to increase the painterly look. I might come into the canvas texture. So if I didn't like the canvas texture, that's turning it off and on. Let's see that again. So that's off, and you can see specifically in the smoother areas here when I turn that off and then when I turn that on, and then the brush bump, which I actually think that's one of the best features here is the brush bump. It's because it actually gives it these little areas right in here and right in here. It gives you that three-dimensional actual painterly feel. And then you can turn your color effects on and off and add some color toning. So we've got cooler tones, warmer tones, but you have to turn it on. I don't believe it was on by default. And it does make a copy for you. It makes a copy of your image here, impression number 1. So here's the original. And it didn't actually crop my image, it just added a little bit of extra canvas around the edge for this white frame, and it is part of the action, so you can, take it or leave it. Okay, let's try this on a different photo. So now here I have a raw photo that I've done absolutely nothing to. You can see it's a Sony.arw, 16 bits per channel. So let's try that one again. Let's try maybe the impression abstract, and we'll see what happens. Uh-oh, I have hit a point where it's not wanting me to work any further. This is because this is a 16-bit file, okay? So it made a copy of the original, but it didn't turn it into an 8-bit file. And the thing about the art history brush is it has to be an 8-bit file. So let's go ahead and say image mode 8 bits per channel, and then try one of these. Let's try the large dabs. I haven't even looked at that one yet, so we'll try realistic with the large dabs. Okay? Okay, very, very cool. And we have the same choices here that we had on the first one. So again, you can do those colored additions if you want. You can come in and mask out different layers, areas of different layers if you want. I would, in particular with wildlife. Okay, after a little bit of struggling, I have a bit of an issue with the fact that I can't really mask out based on the way this action is set up, at least as far as I can tell, just to start playing with it right now. I can't mask this out. I want to be able to see the bird's eye. So I found a little bit of a workaround. Okay, so I'm going to take the original image and duplicate it, and then I'm going to move that up on top of the actual effect, the painterly effect, so it's essentially covering it all up. I still have the texture. You can still see the canvas texture. But what I want to do is I'm going to add a mask, and I'm going to fill it with black. Okay, so it brings out that painterly feel. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a regular brush and I'm going to paint with white. Let me zoom in on here because I want to really show you what I'm doing. So I'm painting with white with a very low opacity brush so that I'm just allowing a little bit of this detail to come back from the original photo. And I really am just only kind of concerned about the eye, maybe a little bit more of the head. But if there's anything in your image that is, I mean, to be honest, just critical, I want to be able to see that eye. And let's do a before and after. So that's before and after of me just kind of bringing back a little bit of important detail. So one little extra step, not that big a deal. So let's take a look at our original. Nice image, but here is our impressionistic looking one. And again, it gives you the option of some basic adjustments here so that you can add back a little bit of that contrast, because I really did lose some, so I might want to bring a little bit of that contrast back into the photo that I lost. So despite the fact that the action is really, really neat, it does not have to be your last step, and continue to treat your image as you would any other. Okay, just as a little bonus here, wanted to show you how that art history brush actually does work. So if you downloaded the brushes in this pack, you will see them if you open up your brush panel. I have them, they typically show up right at the bottom of the list. So I have, in my set here, I've got the Legacy Photoshop brushes. I've got some Kyle's brushes from the Adobe website, which I will cover in another video because those are awesome too. But let's open up the DR impression brushes. And you can see the type of brush that they are off to the side. Every single one of these is an art history brush. So if we come over here to our tools, the art history brush is right here. Now keep in mind, again, this only works on 8-bit images. So if I go back to the original raw and I click on any art history brush, I'm going to get this, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that symbol. So I still have to come up and turn this into an 8-bit image, just like I did for the action that we just went through. Now it still has that symbol because the art history brush actually has to be assigned to the current state of your history. So now that I have that assigned, now my art history brush actually looks like a brush. And now I can make a mess of my image. Now that's not what I'm going to do. Okay, step number 2, after turning it into an 8-bit image and then assigning the brush to that particular history state, is I'm going to duplicate my background because I want to put this on a different layer. It gives me a whole new set of options when I'm done. Okay, so we can test the way any art history brush is going to look by looking at it while it's rather large. So I can see what it's doing with the pixels there. Then I'm going to back up, pick a different art history brush. This one looks like it's going to be kind of chunky clunky. And so we can start with it rather large, so you can see that this one's going to make a lot of rectangular shapes as I drag it across my image. So when working with these brushes, definitely test them out at their full size. When they're really, or not full size, but at a larger size. When they're smaller, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what they're doing. That one's really nice. I'm going to have fun with that one. Which one was that? That was B0470. I like that one. Okay. And this is kind of a combination of the rectangle and those circular strokes. And you can see when I tap just one time and I'm holding it down, it's just continuing to work. I'm not even moving. All right. Let's back up a little bit. When you click and drag all the way across, it's just sampling all of these. Yeah, I'm gonna get the little rainbow wheel. It doesn't like a big art history brush. But look at the brush size in relation to the pixels that it's affecting. It's going to affect a lot outside of the size of the actual brush. So keep that in mind. So when you get in here, eventually you'll be working with a very, very small art history brush. And you can see what a difference that makes. When I work with any art history brush, I tend to work left to right, top to bottom, in very routine fashion, depending on, what it is that I want to accomplish. Okay, so here's probably the most important thing to remember about the art history brush, other than the fact that you need to be in 8 bits per channel, otherwise it won't work. Let's zoom in here, is that if you want more detail, you need a smaller brush. So I'm going to use the same brush, I'm just going to make it much smaller, and you'll start to see more details coming out. So now we're starting to see a little bit more of the form of the bird. Okay, so if I want, I can come in here and switch brushes while I'm working. So this one's very different. Look at how that one works. Wow. All right, now check this out. Let's change the blending mode. Oh my goodness, look at that. Just some splattered looks. Lower the opacity. Add a layer mask. Take my regular brush. Bring back the eye. Very important. So if you like these painterly photos as much as I do, check out this video on using the TK panel, which is free, by the way, to create quick painterly images in Photoshop. I will see you guys next time.